Manhattan presents the 1988 Lipton International Players Championship. Today's coverage is brought to you by Lipton Tea, so right for the way you live today. You'll see, it's hot. By Miloslav Light, so exceptionally smooth, the night belongs to Miloslav. By Penn tennis balls, you've seen one, you've seen them all. And by Subi honey, purity you can taste. Good day to you, everyone, and it is a good day on Key Biscayne, as you can see. The wind has died down, the conditions are well nigh perfect, maybe a little warm. We'll talk about that in a moment. There are the semi-finalists, Mats Wilander and Yannick Noah. You can see them tonight live on, not live, but on ESPN, slight tape delay at midnight Eastern Time. The match you're about to see is Mecir and the number 2 seed Jimmy Connors. You remember Mecir, of course, was the man who won this championship just a year ago. Good afternoon to you, everyone. I'm Cliff Dryden, along with Virginia Wade. You know what they are saying about the Jimmy Connors Mecir match this afternoon, around here anyway, is that it all depends on Mecir. Connors plays about the same, and I wonder if you agree with this, Virginia Wade. So if Mecir plays well, he can win it. If he's asleep, he's not going to win it.
I couldn't agree more. You know, these are two very unique players. I'm really looking forward to this match. They haven't played for a while, and it's 1-1. So I think that they're going to be playing each other around a bit. They are players who like to run their opponent around. Connors is always out there, and he is, as you say, totally consistent. He hasn't lost a set this tournament. Mecir is the one who's had a few sort of dud sets out there. But if Mecir is at his best, I think he's going to be pretty tough to beat.
Now, Connors has a history here in Florida. Some he has a history all over, but people really like him. The crowd, I think, Virginia, are always a factor when he plays.
Well, I think that he makes sure that they are. I think that you will see Jimmy Connors playing the crowd today, and I think that is one of his fortes.
You know, the players were supposed to be out here already warming up. They're a little bit late, so that's just going to give us a few moments more to talk about this match. Let's talk about the surface, Virginia. I suppose you could say that it suits both players. You know Jimmy likes to play on the hard courts, and on the other hand, how can you argue with Mecir's chances? Because he played unbelievably well. You remember that final last year against the number 1 in the world, Ivan Lendl.
Oh, I know. I think that this is a perfect surface for both players. As you said before, they don't have the greatest serves in the world. They're not going to blow each other out on their serves. But that also gives them the chance to play from the baseline, work their opponent around, and take the initiative when they have it. I think Jimmy has got to try to come in a little bit more than he probably likes to do. And I'm going to be interested to see if that's what happens, because I think in a way he's got to try to overpower Mecir.
In a way, they play similar styles of play. You know, there's the two-hander on the backhand side. Of course, Jimmy is a left-hander, Mecir is a right-hander. But neither one of them really has the big put-away shot. So we'll see how it turns out. One thing is for sure, it is going to be a very interesting match. The number 2 and 3 seeds in this tournament in a moment. They call the Mecir the cat, and I like it. I think it's interesting. They call him that because of the way that he moves around the court. This is not something that some newspaper reporter somewhere in the world called him. It was his fellow players, because they appreciate just how extraordinary his talent is. The Czechoslovakians, who are in control of the tennis program there, say to the kids who are interested in becoming as great a player as Mecir is, watch him, but don't play like him, Virginia.
Well, although I think that he plays wonderfully, I think that he is somebody to watch, because talk about economy of motion, he never does more than is necessary. And I keep saying he ambles around, and it's when you're close down on the court, it seems that he doesn't move at all. But as soon as he has to move, he's there like a flash.
We had expected, frankly, to be, well, the first ball should have been in the air already, according to what we were told. Players were late. It's not something that we can explain. But there is the man who is the number 2 seed in this tournament. And they say so many times about him, Virginia, and of course it's true, because the record book showed that he hasn't won a tournament since Tokyo, let's see, was it in 84, I think. But he has nevertheless won 105 titles, more than anybody else, since they've been taking track of those things, and the computer checks those things. And he has been in 10 finals since that time. He just has never been able to convert in a final. And having said that, when you consider his results last year, quarterfinalist at the French on clay, which is not his best surface by a long way, semi-finalist at Wimbledon, and of course also a semi-finalist at the US Open. He beat Broddyk in the first round, then Navratil from Czechoslovakia in the second round, Sanchez from Spain, Mansdorf, and then Yara. But look at the scores in all of those matches. He has not yet lost a set in this championship.
He's been playing totally efficiently, hitting the ball really well. Cliff, I was amused when I was looking through this list of wins that he's had since his career. Starting off with winning in 1972. It looks like a world travelogue, tournaments all over the world.
Let's get back to that. He beat Bezekny, you see in the first round, Leyendecker, Dan Goldie. He beat Michael Pernfors, although he was down in that first set drastically, came back then and it was all over Pernfors like a rash. Then Jay Berger in the quarterfinals, 6-1, 2-6, 6-3, and 7-6. It has been not as easy a march for Miloslav Mecir through this field, but he has got to the semifinals, and don't forget he likes this court because he won this tournament 1 year ago almost exactly. We'll be back with the Jimmy Connors Mecir semifinal in a moment.
The Volvo International is played atop beautiful Stratton Mountain, Vermont, and the Volvo International is also on top of the world, with top names in tennis voting it the #1 Super Series event of the year. The Volvo tops all tennis ratings on ESPN's Nabisco Grand Prix and shares elite status with Wimbledon as the only tournaments in the world to completely sell out. The Volvo is presented by Time Magazine and an impressive list of corporate sponsors. If your company wants to be part of this exciting event, call this number. You too can reach the top.
Well, I said the conditions for playing were well nigh perfect. I suppose you may argue with that as you look at the temperature. It is 81 degrees. It is very hot, and we're a good 50 feet in the air, so it's much cooler up here than it is on court side. And they complained about the heat yesterday, and it will be a factor today. And remember that this is best of 5 sets. You were talking about Jimmy Connors and how much traveling he's done, Virginia. I found that interesting.
Well, he has this bunch of wins from 1972, and it's incredible. I mean, it's nearly a page of tournament wins, but he has literally won everywhere that you could think in the world, from Salt Lake City to Australia to Bermuda to Hawaii, Canton in China, Hong Kong, Tokyo, of course, Costa Rica, Monte Carlo, you name it, he's been there. And I know you were talking about how well he did in Paris last year. Way back in the early days when Jimmy was just very young and just coming on the scene, I remember he struggled one year in the Italian and the French, and he said, I am going to go on playing those tournaments until I win them. He said, I'm not good on clay, it's not my favorite surface, but he said, that's what I want to do. I want to do really well out there.
It's a great attitude, isn't it? Virginia, the other thing that I'd like your comment on is his racket. He's using a Schlesinger racket. He used that T2000, which was a small-headed Wilson steel racket that he felt gave him extra power all those years. Came a time when he said, look, I want people anywhere around the country who still have those rackets to send them to me because, frankly, Wilson just stopped making them. They tried to make a racket for him that he liked. He finally gave up on it, and that's the racket that he's using now, and he is saying things, and I wonder whether they are just words because obviously he has some kind of a financial arrangement with Schlesinger, or does he really think that it makes a difference? My feeling is, before you answer, that I think it really helps his game.
I think it does, and his remarks are that he can't believe that he didn't change to this racket earlier because he gets an awful lot more out of the racket without having to generate the pace himself. And I think that is actually strictly true of these new rackets, the composite rackets and graphite. But if you do look closely at his racket, you'll see that he has got some lead weight on it. Now, I can't work that out. He's got a little bit on one side and a bit on the end of the racket. The end makes sense to me, but I can't. He seems to have the weight on the top side of the racket when he plays with it.
Miloslav Mecir from Czechoslovakia. They call him the cat. They could also call him the dozy man on the tour. He's 6'3", as you see, from Prague, Czechoslovakia. He looks half asleep when he plays, a lot of the time anyway. I don't think you could characterize him as half asleep when he won a year ago, but look at that kind of drowsy look that he has. But it will fool you sometimes. When Miloslav Mecir plays, as I said before, he moves as well as anybody in the court. And I think when you combine that with the anticipation that he has and the angles that he can generate, well, he is a heck of a competitor. Here is the man that is going to sit in the chair for the match. It's the best of 5, remember. That is Rich Kaufman, one of the Men's Tennis Council's full-time chair umpires. Connors, the #2 seed in this tournament, and Miloslav Mecir is the number 3 seed, and remember, he's the holder. I judge, Virginia, if you went out and talked to the people in the stand and said, who do you think's going to win this? The people in the know, they're about 50-50 divided between Connors and Mecir.
I think it will depend so much on Mecir today, and thinking that he is sort of dozy. It was funny when he came out and did his stretches just at the beginning, because it was almost as if he was getting out of bed in the morning. Everybody does stretches, but they were very relaxed. Mecir chose to receive serve, so quite an interesting tactic. Well, the crowd has already established whose side they're on.
Connors says, and he's right, that partly playing of the sport is not just a sport, it's entertainment. He said, I like to entertain the crowds, and he says, we need more people who can entertain the crowd.
I think in the first few games we're going to have a few different types of rally while the players explore each other, see which particular tactic is going to be effective. Again, they've only played each other twice, so it's not as if they know each other inside out.
Game point for Connors. We'll talk about it more as this match progresses, but he's 35, by far the oldest player in this tournament. He was the oldest player also at the US Open last year.
Game Connors.
The 35-year-old wins the first game on serve, 1 game to love in this best-of-5 match. Semi-final day. In '87, Connors was the tour's most consistent performer. He reached the quarterfinals or better in 14 out of 15 events. It's amazing.
He's ranked number 6 on the ATP. Mecir number 7.
I asked him why he does it. He says, the only reason I play is because I love the game. I just love to hit tennis balls. You know what he does, Virginia, is he will say things like, and I think he means them, he says, I'm looking forward to playing against Mecir. They haven't played in about 3 years. He says, we'll get some exercise out there. He has a very good feel for why it is that he plays tennis, and it shows. He's not out there fighting the fact that he has to be out there. He's out there because he wants to be now.
In a strange sort of way, I think that you have even more incentive as you get older, because you realize that your time is running out and how valuable it is to you out there on the court. And so you give it just full value.
He doesn't mind talking about his age, Connors. In fact, he has a quote from him, direct quote. He said, the only problem with age as a number is that it affects you mentally if you let it.
I think it is entirely your concept of the age. I think it does scare you for a while, and I think that happens in the early 30s, and you get past that. Beautiful shot.
40-15.
Their games really are very similar, aren't they? They both hit the ball kind of flat, so the ball doesn't go that high over the net. They both hit deep. Mecir maybe gets a few more angles than Connors. Probably doesn't hit the ball as hard.
Game Mecir.
Jimmy never has had a big
1-all.
backswing on his shots, but I think that Mecir has even less of a backswing. He just takes the ball out in front and often propels it, holds the ball in his racket for so long.
And if you watch him, if you're interested in the strategy of the sport, and you should be, because it's a terribly important element, Mecir is always looking for the angles. He's very seldom just hitting the thing back just to get the ball in play. One game all.
Love 15.
Unlucky, but that was such a clever shot from Mecir.
Love
It looked
30.
as if the ball was going to be high, and it just dropped as Jimmy was about to hit it.
Connors is in trouble on serve here. Third game in the match. It's a best of 5, remember. The early stages, nevertheless, are important because very often they kind of set the tone for the rest of the match. Mecir with a chance. He has 3 break points, Virginia. We will often describe somebody, a lot of players in the world, as a player who never seems to be in a hurry. But I think Miloslav Mecir is number 1 in that department. You watch him, he looks like he's ambling around the court.
He never moves, but his preparation is so early.
Game Mecir.
So Mecir breaks Connors in the third game. It's 2 games to 1. This is the
Mecir
first
is
set of the best of 5. More in a moment. Here's your chance to see some of the interesting elements on the serve of both players. Take a look at Mecir first on the right of your screen. The arms go up together. See the left and the arm and the right arm going up together. Now the racket gets behind the head. You see how his knees are bent and his shoulder is completely turned and his left hand is pointing to the ball. Now watch Connors. You'll see the same kinds of things. Not quite the same knee bend as you'll see, but nevertheless they are in place. He has already started his forward motion into the ball, and look how they both use the shoulders as they come through the ball on serve. All elements that are part of a good serve motion.
Mecir not only uses his upper
Love
legs so
15.
well in his service motion, but he uses them throughout all his stroke production. He's got tremendous power in those upper legs.
As you watch Mecir serve, the one problem that I think he has, Virginia, is what you talked about yesterday. Drops the shoulder too soon sometimes.
$15 all.
It's the forward motion of your body, the rotation of the shoulders, that should take the left arm out of the way. It should not drop before, otherwise you lose some power. And I think that's why you see Mecir serve not quite as hard as he could serve.
I agree. He sort of opens up fractionally early with the shoulders. To start.
30, 15.
He just opens up, and by that I mean he faces the court just marginally early. And I think that a lot of the female players, exactly that thing happens because you think of the girls as not having as strong serves as they maybe could have, and it's precisely for that reason the hip comes through early too. Just out.
40-15.
And I was interested to see what happened when they changed sides, because it seemed to me that the other side seems fractionally easier today. But Mecir seems to be starting off well. He seems to certainly be awake today.
Game Mecir.
Mecir kind of caresses the ball rather than hits it. And he leads by 3-1, as you say. He may not look it to you, a little bit of a Don Johnson growth on his chin. But boy, don't make any mistake about when this guy plays well, he is terrific. He's the holder.
Well, he goofed up the last ball, but those two forehands, he hit them with practically the identical stroke production. One went into the corner and one went short.
7 unforced errors for Connors so far. That's what the problem is.
30 love.
Look at that. Watch this. Oh, my goodness. Set himself up beautifully and then just didn't make the shot. He was trying for a drop shot, Mecir.
Well, and he just covered the court so well here. It didn't look as if he was going to get there, but he got there and hit an awfully good shot. Now, this is a difficult ball to get to. He sped up there without any effort at all, tried an ultimately ambitious shot.
I think, frankly, Virginia, that even if he had made the shot that he was trying to make, Connors was going to be all over it like a rash anyway. Game point for Connors.
It's worth making it the odd fun shot, even if it doesn't come off. Too boring to go for a winner every time, Cliff.
That's Mecir, all
right. Game Connors.
We're 5 games into this match. Mecir has a break. He's the only one. It's 3-2 in the first set. Connors has some very interesting things to say about his own game. He says, my game kind of fits into anybody's mold. Against a McEnroe, for example, my return of serve fits, because the return of serve is the best part of his game. But he said, if a player wants to stay on the baseline against me, I don't mind that because I can stay back and hit ground strokes. Obviously very thoughtful, and one of the great parts about his game is that he has the experience, and he's been through so many matches, and he's won so many tournaments over the years.
Love 15.
One of the things that he prides himself on is the depth that he hits to, and of course the few errors that he makes.
Love 30.
Chance for Connors to come back.
15-30.
Every time Mecir hits the ball, he tries to do something with it. Once in a while he'll make the error, but he never, as you said before, he never hits a ball without any purpose.
2 in a row for Mecir, so he's worked his way back into this game, 30 all. Mecir thought he saw the opening.
30-40.
We've just watched this economy of movement, just a very gentle little bounce. Whoops, he slipped there, but he got right back. He had the opening in this point. He hit everything that he wanted to do and then missed the opportunity, but very smooth footwork.
Breakpoint opportunity for Connors, and he made the error, but as you were watching him move like that, as you said, you see how quickly he recovers. Even when he nearly tripped, he looks like a dancer. Deuce.
He's so difficult to read, because every shot that he hits is prepared in exactly the same way, and then he just adds a little bit of extra wrist or hand to the ball to change direction. I think it's very hard to get your timing against him.
Long.
That was absolutely a case in point. The crowd was absolutely certain that Jimmy had already won the point, and suddenly out of nowhere he arrives and nearly made a winning shot.
Advantage Mecir.
When you play against Connors, you know it, because he moves you around unmercifully from side to side. And I will say the exact same words when describing the game of Mecir. You have to work like the devil just to stay in the match. It is not, for example, like playing against a John McEnroe, where pretty much if you return well, you can make an impression on him. Otherwise, you're going to lose. The points are going to be over quickly. These two guys serve, and it gets the ball in play, and from there on in, it's a game of thrust and parry. This is the third deuce.
Yeah, he found it. He had to just block that ball. He didn't have any time to make a backswing at all.
Watch this again now. I want you just to take a look here at Mecir and see how difficult it was at this point. You see where Connors is? Mecir sees where he is, plays the obvious shot down the line, but look how nevertheless he had to thread the needle, and did. But it's the Connors shot that gets the crowd.
Well, that was absolutely a great shot, and I think that that's something that would be good for Jimmy to be able to do, is hit behind Mecir, but I don't know how you even stop him changing direction. He always seems to be in the right place.
Fourth deuce. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. That was by far the toughest angle in the business to hit. Watch it.
I can't believe that Jimmy didn't really milk this one, because this is the sort of shot that he starts jumping up and down about. Incredible. That almost went around the net post, didn't it? It was so extreme in the court. He was very cool about that.
I think he knows that this is best of 5 and he has to conserve just a little. That's a great shot. And it's also a break of serve. You see how Connors, when he makes the volley, does not stop moving. He's going forward and he stays moving forward. 3 games all now, first set.
And he just it closes in so well, as you said, Cliff. Just there you are, and he's nicely turned, and he nearly sits on the net at the end. Fantastic shot. Well, we knew this was going to be a good match, didn't we?
Oh, it's terrific stuff to watch. So many players, Virginia, when they get to the net, stand still and only react to the opponent's passing shot. One of the great lessons that Connors would teach you is to keep moving forward.
Love.
Not only is there a big age difference between these two, Mecir is 23, nearly 24, but it's a big height difference. Jimmy 5'10", Mecir 6'3". Yeah, it hit the line. Good serve.
30 love.
He never seems to me as tall as 6'3", but I think that's also because he bends his knees so much and moves around with his center of gravity fairly low. But when you are down on the court, he certainly looks a big man.
That last game turned out to be a terribly important one. Connors broke, and now, well, he's on the verge of leading in the set 4-3.
Game Connors.
Key Biscayne has wonderful parks. It has almost everything. Swimming pools, great golf course, and of course, the Miami Seaquarium.
Connors leads 4-3.
You got it now, Rick?
This is the first meeting between Connors and Mecir since the two played in 1985. Connors beat Mecir then 6-3, 3-6, 7-5 in a match that, and I don't know if you remember this, Virginia, but Mecir got so nervous in that match in I think it was in Hamburg, Germany, or was it Dusseldorf? But it was the World Team Cup anyway.
Dusseldorf.
He played underhanded on the serve just to get the ball in play.
It's incredible because he doesn't look as if he has a nerve in his body. And I'm sure that he has, but saw that Jimmy just doused a handkerchief in cold water and put it around his neck, and tell you, it is quite hot out there.
Earlier that year, that's 85 still, in Philadelphia, Mecir beat Connors in 3 sets.
Out. Love 15.
Connors has played in 3 tournaments so far this year. He reached the quarterfinals at Rotterdam. Svensson from Sweden beat him. He was a runner-up in Milan. He retired to Yannick Noah in the final. and he lost in the first round 2 weeks ago in Orlando. Oh, look at that. Great court coverage. Mecir had to guess which way Connors was going to go on the passing shot. He did, and he was right.
Well, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Court coverage by Jimmy, running around like a 2-year-old. But God, I don't know how he's going to last with this energy if he keeps doing that. Well, he doesn't even look as if he's breathing heavily. He smiled. Quite a clever move of Mecir to try and drop shot and make him move around a little more. But risky play.
Well, I was going to say risky too, because, well, 15-30 now, and Connors has got a chance. You see what's happened? The Mecir unforced error column is growing. Oh!
It's not possible.
It was a great approach shot of the second serve. 99 out of 100 players would be out of the point. Mecir gets to it, stretches, gets an unbelievable angle. 30 all. Maybe the biggest point of the first set.
He just disguises his shots so well. Well, that shot production just looked exactly the same as the one before when he'd gone cross-court.
I hope you were watching Connors, because he was moving in the wrong way. Mecir knew it. He had to cover the cross-court forehand, of course.
Deuce.
Jimmy's going to the towel again. You mentioned the scarf that he's put on. Probably wetted that down before he did to keep him cool. And remember, we're only 7 games into the match, and this is best of 5. Billy Connors has to work a lot harder than Mecir, doesn't he? Mecir just standing there and flailing away at the ball.
Precisely what I was thinking. I mean, Jimmy is working way, way harder, having to really hustle on every single point. But it's Mecir who's still throwing in the odd errors.
And it is Connors who has the break point. And if he wins this point, he'll be serving for the first set. And another error from Miloslav Mecir, and Connors will serve for the set.
Connors leads 5-3.
And that's 4 games in a row for Jimmy.
Miloslav Mecir was a runner-up this year in Rotterdam. Edberg beat him. And a couple of weeks ago, Chesnikov beat him in Orlando.
Love 15. First serve. Love 30.
Look, when you go for the kind of angles and you play with the flat shots that Connors has, you're going to get unforced errors, inevitably.
It's amazing there's so few.
They try for so much. Love 30, a chance for Mecir to come back. Connors serving for the set.
15-30.
Oh. Great play from Connors.
Seems to be his most effective play, doesn't it, to come in really aggressively onto Mecir's backhand and follow it in. I mean, I know Mecir came up with one sizzling winner, but he doesn't have quite the same reach on the backhand side with the two hands as he does on the forehand side.
Connors wins the next 2 points. He'll win the first set. Set point.
40-30. Deuce.
You'll get a chance tonight to see who will play the winner of this match. Mats Wilander, boy, I don't know that he can play any better than he's playing right now, but last 2 times that he's played against Yannick Noah on hard courts, Noah has won the match. I don't know how much that means, because Wilander is playing so much better than he has ever, in my opinion. But they'll play tonight, and you can watch that match on ESPN, midnight Eastern time.
You know, there must be a lot of psychological pressure playing against Jimmy. He just keeps going at you the whole time. But suddenly, I don't know where these errors are coming from with Mecir. It's as if he just thinks that he has to do more than he has to do. Second set point.
First serve.
The crowd's reaction will tell you Jimmy Connors has won the first set, 6-3. Remember, this is a best of 5, so we have at least 2 more sets in store in a moment.
Seats quickly, please.
Number 1 is his ready position. You see that his legs are apart, and they're going to stay that way. He does not play with a closed stance on the forehand side. He takes his racket back lower. His racket actually never gets above his shoulder, and that's so different from the kind of a Borg shot or a Vilas, for example, the Lendl. And number 3, you see he's come through the ball. His legs are still open, so he's not playing a closed stance forehand, but his shoulders are turning, as you see. Check number 2. You see how fully he has turned. In number 3, his shoulders are completely open, and look how far he follows through in number 4. Those elements are all very important in a successful forehand, and when we talk about preparation, there's nobody better to watch in the world than Jimmy Connors and the way that he rotates the shoulders and prepares for the shot.
Love 15.
Well, and you can tell right there what's happening. Connors an awfully high percentage of first serve. Not quite that many winners, but not many losers either.
15 all.
First ace for Miloslav. And of course he has new balls this game. Speeds it up a little bit. The balls are fluffing up. When it's hot and humid like this, and the court is fairly rough, they get bigger.
The interesting statistical fact, I think, in the first set of Virginia was the fact that Connors was the one who started out with the unforced errors. Mecir was the one who ended up with more.
Well, I think that playing against Mecir is such a different player from anybody else that it's bound to take you a little while to adjust to his rhythm.
That's a great pass.
You saw him hit a forehand almost identical to the one that you had just slow motioned before. And he hits that forehand as if he's going to come to the net every time on it. Certainly does when it's a little bit shorter. Yeah, just out.
Correction. Ball was good. Replay the point.
Well, Jimmy's not going to be too pleased with that.
He's going to go over and put the bracket where he thinks it was.
Right on the line. Right on the line. I think it was blocked. It's not where it landed.
What's he blind from?
I don't know. It was a cross court. It landed flat on the line. I can't believe you made the call. It was actually flat on the line. That's not the mark.
Well, then you come down and show me the mark.
No, there's no mark. It was on the line. I saw flat on the line. Right on the line.
Over here, Rich.
That ball was right on the line. Flat on the line.
And we had the exchange between Rich Kaufman and Jimmy Connors.
Okay, every time there's a close one, you're in. You're on the spot.
If it's on the line, I'm going to.
Every time. I don't give a damn.
If it's clear to me, I'm going to overrule.
Every time I'm over
Connors is saying to him that now that you've overruled one, I'm going to look to you for every close call to overrule. Kaufman says, and he's quite right, if it's clear to me, I am going to overrule him. Mecir, first game, second set, 40-15. Jimmy's going to stay on him now.
Well, it did seem like a very aggravating overrule, that, because the ball was cross-court. It's an awfully difficult line for the umpire to see, and nobody had made the slightest complaint about the call as it was. And although it might seem an unimportant point at 40-15, the first game of the second set, I think it's important for Jimmy to stay on top of Mecir at this stage. He doesn't want to give him any nose in front again.
Game Mecir, first game, second set.
So Mecir holds on to serve. 1 game to love, he leads, but he lost the first set 6-3 to Jimmy Connors, the number 2 seed. More in a moment. There's a national park about 5-minute drive from here. Probably run to it in about 15. Has trees, beautiful trees that look like giant oleanders. I don't know what they're called. I probably should find out, but it sure is pretty. And well, this whole Key Biscayne area, they call it an island paradise, and it is. It has a beautiful golf course ranked in the top 10 public courses in the country. Great tennis facilities, of course. You're watching this championship from one of them.
15 love.
And you know about the beaches, the swimming, fishing.
Well, about the one thing that Rich Kaufman achieved by overruling, apart from getting Jimmy aggravated, was he got the crowd on Jimmy's side again.
Connors is looking at him. As if to say, I want an overrule. It was clearly wide.
It's a better return
30,
from Mecir.
Jimmy Arias of U.S. Davis Cup fame, he lost in the first round here to Jaime Zaga of Peru, and interestingly, it's Peru that the United States is going to be playing in the Davis Cup. They're going to have a tough time with it. Jay Berger, of course, is going to go down there. Flack and Seguso will play doubles. And the other man that's going to go down, Andre Agassi.
Oh, yes, good shot.
30 all.
Agassi lost to Crickstein. 4-6, 4-6, 6-3, 7-5, 1 love, and then he retired.
Oh, Jimmy.
30, 40.
Absolutely superb first serve. Mecir practically didn't get his racket on that ball, and it really wasn't necessary for Jimmy to hit that as a volley.
Oh, that's a great shot. And Mecir has broken Connors. You know, I remember so well because we covered it on ESPN, the match that Connors and Lendl played in the semi-final 2 years ago in the Lipton up in Boca, Virginia. And I hate to say that Connors is playing at this point anyway with those same kinds of feelings that I felt he had at that point when he was, depending on who tells the story, either defaulted in a match or he walked off. That was in the 5th set.
Well, he always seems to be particularly edgy against Lendl.
Love 15.
In case you just joined us, what I'm talking about is the fact that Rich Kaufman a couple of games ago overruled a Mecir shot in favor of Mecir. It was a very close call, by the way. Virginia and myself both felt that the overrule probably was not a good idea. Not because Connors was involved, but because it was that close that you have to be absolutely sure before you overrule. But Connors was annoyed by it, and frankly still is. 2 games to love, Mecir, 2nd set.
He's having to cover an awful lot of court, Jimmy.
15 all. $15-30.
A little cry of anguish from Mecir. You don't often hear that. Now, 3 of this year's semi-finalists were in the semi-finals last year. The odd man out is Mats Wilander, who takes the place of Ivan Lendl. In fact, Wilander is going to play Noah. That's the guy that beat him in the quarterfinal last year. Tonight. You can see that match midnight Eastern time on ESPN. Best of 5.
$30 all.
Okay, okay.
Clearly out.
Clearly out.
Clearly out.
Clearly, oh, clearly. There's only one thing that's clear here.
Don't say it, Jimmy.
You know, you don't want to think that the umpire should be intimidated by Jimmy and not make an overrule, but I still can't. I still can't help thinking that there was a testing him somewhat to make such a dodgy overrule. Bring the wrath of Jimmy Connors on him for the entire match.
Meantime, having said all of that, Connors has now worked himself into a situation where he's got to break point, and it does affect that man, Mecir, with all that's going on between Connors and Rich Kaufman. But he doesn't show it, does he?
No, but I think that he's actually intimidated by Jimmy anyway, because I think that first set he sort of started missing balls.
Connors breaks back. We're on serve now in the second set. 2-1 for Mecir. Connors won the first set 6-3, but he trailed at 1 point with a break. Came back.
I'd be playing right-handed.
Giving you a chance
Won't
to
jump in on judgment calls. I'll only jump in if
listen
I'm
to this
positive.
Jump in
conversation.
on a judgment call right here. You've jumped in on 2 judgment calls already.
This conversation.
Let us play. That's what proves the winner.
That's what I try to do. That's what I try to do. But I got to protect you guys from bad calls.
You are listening at the tail end of a conversation that lasted the full 60 seconds that Jimmy Connors is in the chair. I will tell you that Connors is complaining. He said in the main, I think the main point he was making is, look, I can see the ball better than you can. He said, I'm running, yes, but my eye is on the ball. Now, the great and glorious Vic Braden that I used to work with, and he's still a very good friend, said that the players are more often wrong than not because of the fact that they are moving. And it's just very difficult to see exactly where the ball bounces when your eye is not stationary.
I think that there's certain calls that the players have the best idea about, but there are an awful lot that you don't have the best look at. It's a great shot. But I can't believe that Rich Kaufman actually carried on that entire conversation. Technically, I think they're supposed not to answer the players back. Supposed to keep out of it. But it is pretty distracting. I was saying at the end of last game that I thought that Mecir was intimidated by Jimmy in general. And I think that was why the errors had come into his game. He just loses a little bit of confidence just because it's Jimmy who's his opponent. And Mecir has hardly been into the net this match. Comes in, plays a pretty casual sort of volley, which he really could have placed somewhat better. Jimmy's only option was the lob, but look how close to the line it bounced. And he did exactly the right thing, which was to come in behind it.
15 all.
And that gets the crowd roaring on his side, too.
$30-15.
As far as your comment about talking to the umpire is concerned, Virginia, I think that the players, the umpire is entitled to talk to the player, or the people that are not supposed to talk to him, I think, are the linesperson.
That makes sense.
Connors looking up at Rich
40,
Kaufman.
15.
I was surprised that the conversation went on so long and that there was such a prolonged exchange between the two of them. I think that may be dangerous. Nevertheless, Connors now 40-15 to get back to 2-all here in the second set.
Again, Connors.
Cliff Drysdale with Virginia Wade. This is the Lipton International Players Championship. You're looking on live at Key Biscayne, Florida. This is the first of two men's semi-final matches, best of 5. Miloslav Mecir, the number 3 seed, the champion last year, playing against number 2 seed Jimmy Connors, of course, of the USA. Tonight's match, which you'll be able to see live, at least not live, but on ESPN at midnight tonight, will be between Yannick Noah, the number 1 player from France, and Mats Wilander of Sweden, number 1 seed.
Well, Jimmy is much more effective on the service return today. Mecir has been having trouble with Jimmy's serve, and that's partly due to the quality of his serving, but also Jimmy has served in nearly 90% of his first serves.
$30-15. $30-all.
Well,
40-30.
that ended up by being an amazing service, an ace on the second serve. And I tell you, he needed that, because if he'd put in a dud second serve, Jimmy would have been all over that. Big point right here again.
First serve. Game Mecir. Mecir leads 3-2.
B2 for Mecir here in the second set. He lost the first 6-3 to Connors. This is the Lipton International, and we'll be back. They are both exponents of the two-handed backhand. You see Mecir there on the left of your screen. Take a look at the shoulder turn now. His eye is on the ball. He's see how far his shoulders would turn, and he makes that good sweep through the ball. Now you'll see the same thing with Connors. He'll drop the racket, take it back with his shoulders, holding on tight to the racket. Now he comes through, eye on the ball, knees bent when he hits it, and look at the follow-through position from both of them. They are very firm, and there's not much topspin, as you could see, because they sweep through the ball and keep the racket on the ball longer than most. It is without a doubt Connors' better side between his forehand and his backhand, and with Mecir, well, he's about even, I would say, forehand and backhand. He's certainly not going to run around either side. Three games to 2, Mecir, second set. They're on serve.
Love 15.
Oh, that's amazing. That serve could not have been hit better. It was on the line, actually. He got back to it, and he hit the ball back with a stinging return, and then had to make his way to the net after a let cord, which of course he wasn't expecting, and made the passing shot. Extraordinary speed of Mecir.
15-30.
One of the things that Connors can do is that he has such a variety of stroke. And here's the half volley. Take a look at that. See his knees bent, eyes on the ball. Boy, that's the important thing on that half volley. It takes a tremendous amount of concentration, because that's one of the toughest shots in the business to play.
Yeah, and he needed that good first serve there.
31.
Mecir just can't seem to totally find a comfortable rhythm for himself. He'll hit a couple of great points, and then suddenly he'll play some really pretty average errors. And I still keep thinking that he's really overwhelmed by Jimmy's presence out there.
$40-30.
It's too good.
Three games all in the second set.
3-all.
Jimmy's greatest pleasure in life may come from his kids, Brett and Aubrey. He remembers the time when Brett walked out on the court 11:30 at night, the U.S. Open, after he had lost a match to John McEnroe, and he said something like, well, it was one of the greatest moments of my life, because when I saw my kid, I realized that winning and losing is not important. He doesn't care.
Love 15.
Mecir has missed a lot of those shots, and it's just he has so little margin for error that he's inevitably going to miss them. It's almost like hitting a winner, because if he gets them in, they're so tough to track down.
But he's made so many errors that he's lost a little bit of his confidence, and so he hesitates slightly. It looks as if he doesn't know whether he should go for a big shot or play a little bit safer. And he really doesn't want to play safer against Jimmy, because he's got him moving all over the place. He moves him around, and then he misses what looks like the obvious shot.
Oh, he'd like to have that one again.
30-15.
He decided at the last minute favorite shot. He felt sure that Mecir was anticipating it, tried to hook it back cross court, and Mecir was waiting for it. No sign of fatigue from Connors yet.
It happened again. Jimmy was all over the place, having to cover the entire court, and Mecir could not make the shot. I mean, look how far out he is now. He's got an awful lot of area to cover to get to this ball. Tremendous run there. Now, I don't know where Mecir could have gone except cross court, although Jimmy looked as if he was looking for the cross court passing shot.
The great thing about both of them, isn't it, is that when they approach, they hit the ball flat. It stays very low. It's tough to make the pass.
That time it was Jimmy who did the same thing. He had Mecir in real trouble. And then, as we just look at it again, he's got him moving way out of position here. Mecir is not going to be able to cover this volley. Only had to be a reasonably good shot.
And it would have given him break point. It's 3 games all in the second set. Connors won the first 6-3. This is game point for Mecir now, 40-30.
Still not quite enough first serves from Mecir, around mid-60%.
Loose.
Well, again, it was that short second serve. First serve percentage way down for Mecir compared with Jimmy, and that second serve was so short that he was in trouble all the way.
You'd be interested to know that Connors' first serve percentage is always over 75%. Break point.
Certainly makes a difference, doesn't it, a good first serve? This court is just about medium fast, which means that if you hit your first serve really well, you're going to reap the benefit from it. It does mean that you can stay back and rally, but if you hit short on your second serve, you're really asking for a lot of trouble.
Advantage Mecir.
I don't buy the fact that when you're 35, you're over the hill in tennis. Remember, Ken Rosewall was in his 40th year. He was 39 when Jimmy Connors beat him in the final at Wimbledon and the final at the U.S. Open. So he has a few more good years in him. But having said that, he is running a lot today against Mecir.
Yeah, Mecir.
And Mecir holds on, not without some trouble, though, in the second set. 4-3 now for Mecir. They're on serve. Connors won the first 6-3 from the Lipton on Key Biscayne. We'll be back. You're watching the Players' Championship in tennis, the Players' Championship of golf. Well, you'll be able to see that after the tennis, 4 o'clock this afternoon. The defending champion up there is Sandy Lyle, who won last year. It's the warm-up for the Masters tournament. Paul Azinger, Curtis Strange, Tom Watson, Sevi Ballesteros, Crenshaw, Ray Floyd. Well, they're all going to be there. And again on Friday, that's tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, live the Players' Championship on ESPN. This is the International Tennis Center from Key Biscayne, Florida. It's the Lipton International Players' Championship men's singles semi-final day. Cliff Drysdale with Virginia Wade.
Quiet, please.
And the Lipton company is going to stay involved with this tournament for at least another, hold on to your hat, 30 years. So there is a long-term commitment to this tournament, this site, this area, and Butch Buckles, the tournament director.
It's an incredible achievement for them.
Love 15.
Well, I think they have something going, and I'll tell you why, because anybody in the world, when they talk about this 2-week event down here in South Florida, it's called the Lipton.
Love 30.
Gee, and this is not a good time for Jimmy to allow some errors to creep in. He's still making his first serves, but when he gets a second serve in, he makes considerably less of those points. That's side two.
Love 40.
Game point for Mecir, and remember that if he wins one of the next 3, he'll be serving for the second set.
Game Mecir. Mecir leads 5-3.
And he just read this right, because if Jimmy had gone the other way, it would have been a clean winner. He stayed there, and then he just snuck that down the line. But it looked to me as if Jimmy had a little lapse of concentration in that game. I suppose he realized that the game before was in a very important game, the 3-all game, 7th game of the set. Had a chance to win that one break point.
Just long.
Love 15.
That's a play, though, that Mecir is so good at. He rolls his forehand out wide, or his serve in that case, and then he slides that ball down the line, and he hits it so early that they don't have a chance to get into position.
If Mecir wins this game, it'll be the first time in this tournament that Connors has lost a set. He beat Broddyk of Australia in the first round, 2-2 and Love. Then Navratil from Czechoslovakia, Love 4-4. Then Sanchez of Spain, 1-4-4 against Mansdorf, 3-4-3.
The thing is, I'm 36. I don't think I can still beat you, folks.
I don't know, Jimmy was muttering something in the middle of that point.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what it was, I think, Virginia. He's talking to the man in the chair. That's Mecir's first ace, by the way, and he's saying, I can't beat both of you. You and Mecir.
Mecir's first double fault. Just missed that ball.
30-all.
What did I say?
You said his first ace.
Excuse me, double fault.
But you know, it's so...
You can't tell me a ball that lands over here is good.
Far
You
sideline.
can't tell me that.
I'm going with the call.
You cannot tell me that. You cannot tell me that you only see half of what's going on out here. You can't tell me that. You're a one-eyed umpire today, Rich. Oh, wake up on the other eye.
The man in the hot seat is Rich Kaufman. Connors is, as you can see, himself hot. And this is a vital point. Mecir serving at 30-all. Code
violation on sportsmanlike conduct. Warning, Mr. Connors.
I give you a warning.
Let's let this play and watch it.
See the referee. See the referee.
Did you see him on the change?
No, I'll see him right now.
You got any reason?
I'll see him right now because you are doing a bad job. That's a good enough reason I can do.
I'll let
Well,
you
what
talk
is
to
good
the
enough?
change.
What is good enough?
What's your-
You have to just, you want him to win? Just tell me and I'll save me 2 hours.
That's not what I'm doing.
If that's what you're
I'm not doing it.
Rich, I'm just telling you, I've always thought you were a damn good umpire. I really did. I always have. I continue to think so. But you can't just see one half of the court.
Not.
You can't just miss a ball that's this far out and think you missed one that's this far in.
Sideline. I can see the near sideline.
How can we call one over there? No, bullshit, no. Get the referee now. Now, count me out. Count me out. What do you want? You count me out again? You want to count me out again like this schmuck did 2 years ago? No, I want to see the referee because I want to just find out what's going on.
Well, we'll talk to him on the changeover.
I know I want to see what's going on. I want to see if it's going to continue like this. And I want to see, I just want to understand what's going on. If it's going to continue like this, if it continues and it's not worth it.
Okay.
Then get him out here. I want to know before I go out and play.
On the changeover. Let's play.
No.
On the changeover, I'll
See
let
the
you talk
referee
to him.
now.
You're going to see him in a second on the point penalty. Code violation, delay of game, point penalty, Mr. Connors. Game and second set, Mecir. Referee to the court, please.
I think it speaks for itself. Jeremy Shales was the man in the hot seat 2 years ago. That's Alan Mills, the referee of the tournament. He also, by the way, is a referee at Wimbledon. Let's see how this turns out. We'll let the scene
I said he could talk to you in
talk.
the changeover. It's the changeover.
He can
It's the
talk.
changeover because I've been jacked off out here too many times. It's a one-sided match. He's missing calls that are this far wide. He's changing calls that are this far wide to good. He's not seeing calls that are in. He's changing them out. He's interfered with the match too much from the beginning. It's enough. It's too much. Either he goes or I go because it's not working for me anymore. I'll do the same thing as I did 2 years ago because it's not working for me. I guarantee you. I don't need the mental aggravation anymore. I can absolutely say that he screwed the match up from the beginning. I can absolutely say that. And if you ask you over there, you'll agree that he's changed 4 calls that were wrong. He changed them all to the wrong side. And it's just enough. I just want to know if it's going to continue. Because if it's going to continue, I'm going to walk around out here. I'll stroll around. I'll enjoy the sunshine in the afternoon, but I'm not going to give a damn. Because I'm not going to fight my balls off out here for another 2 hours and get screwed.
I'm still Mr. Connors. I guarantee you, I'm not going to overrule judgment calls. If I saw that ball flat on the line. I overruled.
You can see some that are pubic in or out, and this is all over here that's this far wide.
Far
You
sideline.
can't tell me
Tough
that.
call for me.
No!
Far
You
sideline.
can't tell me that when you call one over here. You can't tell me that. Not today, you can't. There's not one. There's been 4 overrules.
Time.
One here, one over there,
One over.
and one in this little room. That's all they say. No, bullshit, no, let's go. Tell me what's going on. Tell me if it's going to continue like this. But he can't continue to be fucking up like this. These lights are on his job. Get him out of there, get out there. Get him out of there. Well, just tell me what, just come over here so I can hear you. Just tell me what rights I have as a player. Just tell me what rights I have as a player right now. That if I continue this match, I'm not going to just continue to get abused right now. Tell me. Well, how many has he missed in the meantime? How many have been missed in the meantime? No, there's been 2 overrules. 2 overrules and 3 missed calls. But what is a clear mistake? I mean, how far does it have to be for a clear mistake? No judgment. I mean, just tell me what rules as a player I have out here. I've got no rules. I'm taking the brunt of every situation. I'm just taking the brunt of every situation. What is a judgment call? Whose judgment? Whose words you taking? Whose words you have to take?
Well, it looks like Connors has decided to get on with it and play. He was given an extraordinarily leeway in being able to make his point. I guess you could figure out exactly what the point was from what he said to Kaufman. We gave you that opportunity. He was given a point penalty and lost the second set rather on it. He won the first set 6-3, so we're at 1 set all.
Love 15.
In case you just joined us, to fill you in on what happened earlier, Rich Kaufman on a shot from Mecir was overruled in favor of Mecir. It was a very close call, and I think it was probably a call that he wishes now he never had overruled. It was that close. And since then, Connors has been on him constantly, and finally it erupted in the confrontation that you just saw.
I certainly didn't agree with him when he said there'd been 3 bad calls and 2 overrules. There really didn't seem to have been any other bad calls at all. He complained about a serve, but I think he was just finding a point to pick on Kaufman.
I think you're exactly right, and there was, in fact, only 1 overrule.
Yeah. It was interesting because his hands got further and further apart when he was saying overrule and a ball was close. It's obvious that the crowd enjoy Connors getting mad out there, but I don't think that they hear as much as we hear with the microphones down there. They don't know how absurd it is.
First serve.
They were chanting at one stage for the guy to get off the chair, which is totally unfair. I mean, he has absolutely not done a bad job.
33.
That's absolutely total nonsense of Connors to think that the umpire would be on Mecir's side. Why on earth would he be biased? There's absolutely no reason in the world that he would. But your feelings do go out to Mecir. I mean, how can the poor guy concentrate when all that's going on?
What bothers me about Connors is his borderline rude language.
Well, you see, that's why I think that the crowd who's actually present here, and it's a huge crowd, so they're a long distance away from the court, they do not hear those obscenities, and that's why they think that he's just cute.
There's Alan Mills. He's going to watch, obviously, the rest of this match. I think what started the whole thing was something that Connors said to Kaufman that we did not hear, that I assume that it was along those lines of obscenities, but of course we're not going to know that, because I frankly didn't hear it. That's what prompted Kaufman to give him the warning, and that's why he erupted.
Game, Mecir, right on the line. First game, third set.
Mecir has won the first game of the second set. Connors is reluctant to give it to him. He's walking around the back of the court. Take a look, and well, it was a long way from where we are, but Connors is not happy with it. Here it is again. You be the judge.
Well, a lot of people started calling as if it were art.
We'll be back with more of this mystery match in a moment. One game to love, Mecir, and he's broken serve. First game of the third set, 1 set all.
First serve. 15 love.
That's Eli Nastasi, a great and good friend of Jimmy Connors's. And by the way, Connors says we need more people like Nastasi in the game. And, well, you can see those kind of outbursts from Eli almost every match he used to play.
30 love.
It was about 3, maybe 4 years ago when that big controversy with CBS at the U.S. Open when John McEnroe said there are too many microphones around here. You saw Jimmy Connors pick up one of our microphones and throw it outside the confines of the court. Maybe throw is a little harsher word, but apparently if that action was any indication, he agrees with McEnroe.
Game Mecir. Ball change.
And Virginia, clearly this match has taken on a whole new perspective now. I don't think that, frankly, Connors gave it everything in that game.
Well, it was so strange because that game that he was serving and lost, when I thought that he just had a lapse of concentration when he was 4-3 down and he lost that game at 3-all, having had one break point. I just don't know what happened to upset him. Nothing happened then. In the next game, he was muttering at the umpire.
Players have a lot of rights, don't they? Players take it up every orifice possible.
But, you know, he says players have a lot of rights, but he doesn't have any consideration for his opponent.
Well, it's that borderline obscenity, those references that really appall me where Connors is concerned. I tremendously admire what he does on the court, but I cannot forgive those.
Well, I tell you something, the linesmen get so uptight in this sort of situation that I give them credit if they're doing as good a job now as they were before.
Frankly, this match is an explosion just waiting for a place and a time to happen. Everyone can feel it.
Love 15.
Remind you again, in case you just joined us, that 2 years ago in Boca, in the semi-final match, Connors walked off the match against Ivan Lendl in the 5th set. I have already expressed my displeasure about the language and nuances of what Connors has already said. We apologize for them to you, our viewers. Clearly, this match is broadcast live, and there is nothing that we can do to prevent them going over the air. 2 games to love Mecir, 1 set all. Connors serving at 15 all.
That has been the play that's been working for Jimmy, though.
15.
Come in on the aggressive cross-court forehand and close in on the net.
Game point. And while it may be difficult for Mecir, on the other hand, he can tell that Connors at this point is all at sea, that his mind is not in this thing. And It may be difficult to play this kind of match, but there's also that little thought in his mind which says, I may be given this match for free. Great lob from Mecir. Two of them, in fact. The first one Connors got to with a sky hook. The second one was perfectly played.
And as you watch this one comes down and it just clips the top of the net. So an absolutely unbelievable get of Mecir to get there and hit such a good lob.
Advantage Connors.
That's pretty good for the Wimbledon.
Really the most aggressive backhands that Mecir has hit the entire match.
Connors is taking his time, not, I believe, because of anything that has happened between he and Rich Kaufman in the chair, but because he is tired and is conserving his energy. He's been doing that now for a couple of sets.
First serve. Advantage Connors.
You have the feeling, Cliff, that when Jimmy's heartbeat goes racing up into I don't know what numbers, that Mecir's then hit his heart and he reached 70. He just, while Jimmy towels off, he just wanders around gently, waiting patiently for him to come back and serve.
Game point.
It's like having to start the match all over again after an interruption like that.
So, please.
And the crowd fully, apparently behind Connors still. I'll never forget 2 years ago when he walked off the court, the crowd were cheering him and they wanted nothing more than for him to continue to play. They blamed everybody but Connors for it.
Such a good shot from Mecir. Well, they started off supporting Jimmy in this outburst, but I think that there are quite a few people out there who have actually gone the other way.
This is another break point for Mecir. He has a break already. This would give him 3 games to love in the third. So Connors is down now. 2 serve breaks in the third set in what might better be described a brawl between Connors and Rich Kaufman. We'll be back. Connors and Mecir are battling it out for the opportunity to play the final of the Lipton International Players Championship. You're looking on live from Key Biscayne. And fireworks have been lit here by Jimmy Connors and his complaints.
Kiss my ass.
Try not to get you,
Anything's
Just
fine.
trying to follow the rules. Trying to do the best I can.
Yeah, but unfortunately it sucks.
You have a right to that opinion, and that's okay. I don't mind that.
Getting fucked every time is just not anybody's opinion. It's just a fact of
No
life.
matter that.
Just a fact of life. Shut up.
Well, you can hear.
Call the second score. You can do that correctly.
He sure makes himself into a martyr, doesn't he?
15 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
You clearly hear the obscenities now from Connors. There's no doubt about what he's saying. What I find appalling, apart from the fact that he's using language like that, and that he's going over our airwaves, and for that, again, we apologize. This is a live telecast. There's not much we can do about it. What I do find is appalling that there is no additional action taken by Rich Kaufman against Connors because of the language. That is inexcusable to me.
Love 15.
You know, Jeremy Shells, who was the umpire in that match, isn't still a professional umpire, and you always wonder whether they think their job's on the line.
I think that's very correct. I think that is an excellent point, and I think a lot of people felt that when he was fired basically from his job, although that's not how they described it when he left, I think that's what happened to Jeremy Shales, and it probably was as a result of these kinds of things. If so, it was a terrible message to send to officials.
Sure was. I mean, he still is an umpire. He still is an umpire here. He's at Wimbledon, wherever, a very well-respected umpire. But it did seem that that decision to fire him from this particular job was contingent on that match. Close.
Oh, my goodness.
15-40.
Connors has got 2 breaks to serve against him in the set. He has a chance to break back here. That was the most surprising shot from Mecir. He had it was an easy overhead and didn't even come close. Almost missed it completely. Well, having seen what you've seen and heard what you've heard this afternoon, and I suppose you react to it in different ways, I will say this before you get up and say, well, there's irresponsible, overpaid millionaire tennis players acting up again, that I have not seen anything of this nature now in really a year and a half or a couple of years. It is not representative of what happens on the professional tennis tour in general. It really isn't.
I think that's absolutely true, Cliff. I think that the general standard of behavior has improved. There are a few players who get fined here and there, and obviously there are quite a lot of misdemeanors, but I think that the thing that upsets people is when they abuse linesmen or umpires. If they get angry with themselves and curse themselves or get a little mad, that's one thing. And my feeling is that the umpires should possibly be a little more lenient if the frustration is fairly legitimate and directed at themselves. But what they shouldn't tolerate at all is when the verbal abuse goes back to the linesman or the umpire. Very often you'll get an umpire giving a warning to somebody who has got angry with himself, and that just makes them madder.
Connors is the number 2 seeded player here. He's maybe the most recognizable face in all of tennis. He's certainly in the top 3 or 4 in that department. Internationally, he's a major worldwide celebrity. And the question may be, would any other player get away with what he gets away with on the court?
30 all.
Oh, I think that's a very valid question.
I don't think so.
I happen to agree with you. I don't think that if anybody else pulled that they would still be on the court playing a match.
I agree. I think the match would have been called, or at least a game penalty would have been levied.
He knows that he has control over them.
Out.
We'll start.
30.
Looks to me as if Jimmy thought that ball was good and thought, let's see whether he says anything. But he's about to pick.
That ball's about this far in.
That far in, did he say?
He did say in, apparently. He was down at 1 point in this set, 3 games to love with 2 serve breaks. He's still behind a break, but only 1. It's 3-2 for Mecir, and Mecir will serve when we come back.
Well, you can see that Connor's first service percentage isn't maybe quite as high as it was right at the beginning. It got as high as 88% in the first set, but it's still considerably higher than Mecir. Mecir has got more winners and more losers, and that probably makes sense. You know that Connors is the most consistent player out there. Mecir always takes his opportunities and doesn't make some of them.
Well, we're having fun now. Kick push. Kick push. Come on, Jimmy, we got him now, man.
This becomes a very important game here because that little lapse from Jimmy is over. His concentration is back, but he's still 1 break behind.
That's a great volley. I think you're right. I think he's decided now to play. He's out here. Why not go for it and do his best? He's got that 1 break back.
Love 30.
And an interesting comparison for the sets. The first serve percentage, Connors has dropped off radically. Mecir has been pretty much the same all the way through.
Connors has a chance. It's love 30. Great point. Anytime the ball gets close now, the crowd are trying to inject themselves into this thing, and that, of course, is very often what happens when Jimmy gets involved in these situations. It's upsetting, I'm sure, though, because, well, they feel like they know the calls better than the lines people. The natural happening, and well, it's just going to probably be there for the rest of the match. It's electric out there.
The first time it looks as if Jimmy was a little winded by all that running.
Great point. 2 break points for Connors.
What an incredible point. Both players hitting so hard.
Calm down yet. I'm getting to the point where I'm feeling a little bit more relaxed. I'm not quite as mad as I was, but I'm coming back and I'm trying real hard now, so, and not that I wasn't trying hard before.
Playing like in the first set, Jimmy.
Well, you hear it from Connors himself. Pretty accurate assessment of what's going on. 150 points have been played, and you may be interested to know that each player has won 75 exactly half.
Unbelievable.
Number 15. 75 points apiece make that 75 to 76 for Mecir. Now you may be interested that we counted the penalty point against Connors, which gave Mecir the second set.
Well, I'm going to play good, solid tennis and have a good time out here. Be trying not to let a force that shouldn't bother me, you know? If I can do that, I'll be pretty good.
Connors is trying to and may succeed in taking the place of Fred Stolle at courtside as an announcer.
I know he was pretty angry with the other microphone, but he seems to be wishing he was wearing one himself.
You're wondering where Fred is, by the way. He's next door talking to the folks back home in Australia for it's Channel 9.
Coach. He blew that, dude. That's what happened to his wife last night. She blew it.
This is a big point when all is said and done. 15-30. Mecir with a chance, if he wins this point, to have a couple of break points on Connors in the third.
And although there have been lots of breaks of serve, each set has had a score of 3-all.
Four breaks out 6 games in this set. Mecir started out leading 3 games to love with 2 breaks. Connors has broken him twice since then. It's 3 games all.
Ay, ay, ay.
30-40.
Just short of 2 hours. You can see the time just closing in on 3:15 in the afternoon. We're live, of course, from Key Biscayne. Moments away from Miami on the East Coast. Naturally, this is break point. And break he does. Miloslav Mecir now 4-3 with the break, but he's had 2 breaks before in the set, and Connors has come back, and we'll be back. The International Tennis Center is on Key Biscayne in Florida. 30 years. That's how long Lipton have made their commitment to this tournament. So, well, there'd been some talk about whether the 2-week event was an appropriate thing to do at this time of the year, because there are 4 other 2-week tournaments played during the year. The French, of course, Wimbledon, the US Open, and the great tournament now played in the new arena in Australia. They're all Grand Slam tournaments. This is not a Grand Slam tournament, but it is a Grand Slam format tournament. 128 players in both the men's and women's field. And it lasts, as we mentioned, for 2 weeks. Closing in on the end. This is men's semifinals day. Best of 5. It's Mecir and Jimmy Connors. 1 set all. Mecir serving 4-3. Third set.
15. All.
Mecir won titles on all 4 surfaces last year. He won here, of course, Key Biscayne. That's on hard courts. There's the net play, 32 approaches, 56%. Mecir, 60%. He's come in far fewer times, as you can tell. Then Mecir won Sydney, New South Wales. That was on grass. He won indoors, the WCT in Dallas, Stuttgart, and in Stuttgart. Oh. Mecir gives it back. 2 break points now for Connors.
I cannot believe that he didn't let that ball bounce and smash it off the ground, because he missed that similar smash before. He came in an absolutely, almost an immaculate approach shot here. Now, this would have been a sitter if he'd let it bounce. But I imagine, you know, he's only had to hit 2 smashes in the entire match. First one he goofed out, so he got a little shaky on that one. And once the ball gets up high...
That's the point.
There's a bit of wind.
Yes.
Game, Connors.
Connors breaks. Boy, to be played, let's see, 8 games in this third set. And 6 of them have represented breaks of serve.
And a bunch of loose points from Mecir. When he got that net cord, it made his shot easier, and he over-hit a backhand. And then he made a forehand error and that easy smash. So really a bad game for Mecir right there. Just as it looked as if he was getting back in control of the set. Very nervous.
15 love.
Took a poll of the players, asked them if they had a composite player, who would they choose in various aspects. They said Connors' eyesight and Mecir's footwork, interestingly. Becker's strength, Lendel's mind, Cash's legs, McEnroe's hands, Martina's arms, and the nerves of Steffi Graf. Both of them represented though.
Great play from Mecir. I would have said the mind of Chris Evert rather than Lendl.
15 all.
I think he still gets edgy in big occasions. He's got his friend Ilina Stasi up there.
You hear folks from the crowd telling Jimmy you can do it. They will pull for him no matter what. He knows it. And it helps. It definitely gives you adrenaline. And it's always better playing in front of a home crowd. And almost every crowd in the world is a home crowd for Connors now. Connors beat Borg in 1978 in the Masters in New York, and a lot of people felt that might have been the best match ever played. There'd be a lot of argument with that, of course, but it's certainly up there. Connors has won the U.S. Open 5 times on 3 different surfaces. That's a record that'll never be broken. He's won Wimbledon twice. And last year he was a finalist in Memphis, Orlando, Queens Club, and a quarterfinalist at the French.
40-30.
Break it down in strokes when you ask the folks about Connors and his game. They will say that Connors has the best serve return in the game.
Connors leads 5-4.
The Lipton Company's commitment, well, it's a tremendous compliment to the sport of tennis. They are going to be a part of this event for 30 years. That'll be through the tournament year of 2018. And the tournament will be played, of course, in the South Florida area, right here on Key Biscayne. 11 years remaining on the existing contract that this tournament has in
If I can get in there and play one good, solid game right here.
and the
If I
Women's
can do that, put me in a good
International
position.
Tennis Association. Sorry to interrupt Jimmy. Commentary. A great shot. By the way, that announcement made by the Lipton Company is a feather in the cap of the man who started this whole thing, Butch Buckholz, tournament director here. And if ever an event had a father, Butch is a daddy.
Gee, this set is going through a real change of mood here. Mecir just gets very edgy. Conceals it.
40-love.
And this stadium is full. It seats about 12,000. I would judge there about 10 and a half here today. Game point, Mecir. Yes.
Yep.
40-15.
That's great play. Gee, Cliff, I just really feel that Mecir gets just so edgy that he moves even less than he usually does. Read that one right. Had to try to go down the line on the second one, but he had an enormous gap there.
Nerves are definitely a factor where he's concerned, you know. I mean, he doesn't look like he's nervous, but you know that underneath that calm exterior, well, there's boiling water. But he holds on to serve, and it's 5 games all now. And I want to remind you of that story that I told you about earlier in case you just joined us. And that is that Mecir, all those years ago when he was playing against Connors, it was 3 or 4 years ago now, at the World Team Cup in Germany, actually served underhand because he got so nervous and could not physically get the ball in play when he served in the regular way. He eventually lost that match.
Well, you know, the tendency, of course, when you get nervous is that you don't move as well. But when you have so little movement, you can't exactly pump yourself up. You know, if somebody moves like Jimmy, who's very active, when he gets nervous, or I would say any player, they would make a concerted effort to sort of bounce around, move their feet. But when you make sheer and you make so little movement, you don't even have that to do. Legs turn to lead.
$30.
He won the Lipton here last year, Mecir, and then he won the WCT finals in Dallas. Stuttgart was indoors, and Hilversum, that was a clay court event. He won 9 tournaments last year.
And the point you made that he'd won on all 4 surfaces. Yeah, another line ball from Jimmy. When they hit the line, they really skid off. That one really skid.
So Jimmy, who has been going to towel off between, well, not every point, but quite a few, Mecir does it.
Purser.
For a change. Game point Connors. This will give him 6-5 in the third set. So when we come back, Mecir will serve, and he will try to get himself into the tiebreaker of the third set, one set apiece. Watch our live coverage of the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Regional Finals, the final 4 games before the Division I Championship, which is on April the 1st, of course. Roger Twibell, Cheryl Miller will call the action of the Women's Basketball Regionals on Saturday at noon. Join us.
Seats, please.
Mecir to serve, and remember, he has been broken more times in the set than he has held serve. So this is going to be a tough assignment for him, and a rejuvenated Jimmy Connors since that extraordinary, we might say appalling display
Quiet, please.
in his confrontation with Rich Kaufman in the chair after Kaufman in the first set overruled a call in Mecir's favor. Things have now settled down. 5-6.
And if you look at these two players, it's Jimmy who's on top psychologically at this moment. Mecir is the one who is very edgy, and this, as he gets up, you can just see how much confidence he has. He doesn't hold back at all. He goes for more than he usually does on those overheads.
I think there was a call. Connors doesn't like it.
15-all.
15-all. Instead of Love 30, in which case he would be 2 points away from the set. It was just wide.
I thought it was out. I thought it was out.
Connors has already been given a point penalty, remember, so that the next infraction, well, it will cost him a game.
Quiet, please.
That's Kaufman. I don't think there's any doubt but that Mecir is affected by all of this that's going on around him.
No question. I mean, he looked almost immobilized on that shot. Incredible shot. I think he's probably better when he has to run to the ball. I think if he gets caught out wide on a hard ball, I think that he actually reacts better. Balls that are in the middle of the court that he just can't make himself move. Pure nerves.
30-40.
Couple of missed hits on that rally point from Mecir, and Connors finally had an easy approach shot winner, and it's set point.
Looked as if Mecir misjudged the return of serve. He thought it was going to go out, and it landed just on the back of the line. He was hoping for a call, and he never was in the point again. Well, he can count his lucky stars that he came off with a relatively easy point.
It was a great shot from Connors just to keep himself in that point, because the approach shot from Mecir was right on the money. It almost hit both lines, baseline and sideline.
Yeah, there is so much commotion out there.
Mecir asked Liptons. And I think Mecir is asking Kaufman to ask the crowd not to make a noise while the point is in play.
Also, as a courtesy, try not to shout out during the points.
You shouldn't say try not to shout out. You should say don't shout out.
Set point number 2 for Connors. Nearly about, let's see, 200 points played, and that's how they stand. Just over 200.
Well, it's been a long time since he's served and volleyed.
By the way, I agree with what you just said, Virginia. I think that he is definitely in the driver's seat now. He can lose it, but I don't think Mecir can win it. And the interesting thing was that we said going into this match that Mecir was the one who was going to call the shots. If he played well, he could win. If he played badly, he could lose it. But I don't think he can play well enough to beat Connors now if Connors stays on top like he is.
Well, he's got to erase a lot of errors because he's still hitting too many errors. He goes for his big shots, but a lot of them aren't coming out. Oh, lucky.
Deuce.
You know, I think they've also been out here a long time now, and both of their concentration is getting a little bit suspect at moments. Just hard to keep up that intensity all the time. And they're the extra, well, 10. What percentage is that higher? It's nearly a quarter more.
And it makes the big difference. In fact, I think that's the statistic that tells the story of the match. At least the tennis side of the match. There have been other considerations, as you know.
At the best of times on this surface, that is a dodgy play, but for Mecir to throw that in when he hasn't been doing that the whole match, it has very little chance of really being effective. So Mecir is still making some mental errors out here. And hardly surprising, because you think that he must be somewhat mentally tired, more than physically.
Game point, Connors. will be wild, and Connors leads by 2 games to 1 and 2 sets to 1.
Connors leads 2-1.
You're looking on live at the Lipton International Players Championship. This is coming to you from Key Biscayne, Florida. Directly behind the scene that you're looking at is the great city of Miami. Jimmy Connors is leading it by 2 sets to 1. He leads in the 4th set 2 games to 1. They're on serve, I should say, and there is that beautiful Miami skyline. It is a wonderful day out here. There's a slight breeze, but only slight. Temperature in the, I would say, mid-80s, and a lot of folks in the stands have their shirts off and are enjoying the beautiful South Florida weather. Cliff Drysdale with Virginia Wade. 2 hours and 40 minutes into this match. Miloslav Mecir is very much down on himself at this point. Connors has come in 39 times, a lot more than Mecir, as you can see. Percentage-wise, they're about even.
Mecir usually comes in more in a match, but I guess when you're playing against Jimmy, Jimmy does not give you too many chances to get short balls and take them in. So that is the reason that that statistic is so low.
You have the feeling that Mecir has got to make things happen now. If he just stays out there, Connors is not missing. His unforced errors have really been cut down considerably, and it's Mecir who's making the errors.
Sense that Jimmy knows that Mecir is going to be the first one to make an error in a rally. If he can just keep the pressure on and not give away anything, he knows he's going to be handed it.
This is a big point for Connors here in the 4th set. If he can win it, he'll have 2 break points.
And that play has worked for Jimmy all afternoon. Taking the forehand cross court to Mecir's backhand and putting him under pressure to make a pass.
It's that deep return of serve, and from there on in, he's on the offensive all the time. I don't know, Virginia. I look at Mecir, and he says to me, I think I had enough of this.
He's saying the same to me. I think he's gone. I just think mentally he just has lost his application, and I think it's followed that his physical coordination is off a little bit. He's just feeling really battered out there emotionally.
And Connors leads it now by 3 games to 1. That's a serve break, of course, in the 4th set, and by 2 sets to 1. Saw trainer, the ATP trainer, check in with both players. The last changeover. It's hot down there, and they're working hard.
When you're that hot and tired and you've been working that hard, your head feels as if it's on fire.
Connor's intensity is amazing. He has really worked hard. It may not have looked like it to you, but believe me, Mecir really moves you around the court. Connors has not stopped running at full speed ever since he got on the court, and that was 2 hours and 45 minutes ago. It's a testimony to the kind of shape that Connors is in.
Game, Connors.
Remember that the Players' Championship, that's the golf, will follow this match. This is the view from the air of the stadium. 4-1 for Connors, fourth set. Connors, well, just 2 games separate him from the final of this tournament. He's playing against Miloslav Mecir, who won the event last year against Ivan Lendl, the #1 player in the world, in the final. An outstanding display of tennis from Mecir a year ago. He is not the same player today, anyway, that he was when he won the tournament. That's how his record stands here at the Lipton. Played it twice and has lost only one match in 2 years. No commentary from Jimmy on that occasion. I thought we might get another update from him. 1-4.
I think he's concentrating too hard at this moment.
15 love.
You know, that kind of an action will loosen you up sometimes. Talk to somebody in the crowd, or in this case, talk to everybody that's watching on TV, and he knows that.
Well. It's been a long time since there was an ace.
Players' Championship, remember, immediately following this match. It's a coincidence, by the way, that the Players' Championship in golf and tennis are played in the same week. Matter of fact, the date of this event will be just a couple of weeks later next year. 1 week later. In fact.
.30.
Mecir has to hold on here. This is game point. This match will be history.
Deuce.
Well, and it seems even if he wins this game or gets a little bit back into this match, there's no way that mentally he is facing up to a 5th set, because there's 2 sets to 1 down.
I think it'll be a relief for Mecir when it's over, frankly. If he loses this point, Connors will serve for the match, and he'll have a 5-1 lead and 2 sets to 1. crowd leaving you no doubt as to who they support. Connors will serve for the match. It's interesting how seesaw a match can be. At a certain time, when Connors nearly lost it with Rich Kaufman in the chair, well, you had the feeling that Mecir was in the driver's seat, and then it all changed. Connors got his concentration back. He was trailing at one point 2 serve breaks in the third set. 3 games to love for Mecir, and came back and won at 7-5.
Connors had actually lost 6 games in a row at that stage. But, you know, it's awfully difficult to sustain your own concentration when your opponent is going in and out of their concentration. And it just still baffles me why Jimmy chose to go so berserk in the middle of the match, because he was really controlling it right from the first set. Had a little hiccup at the beginning, but then he really was the better player right from the start. He didn't need to throw his concentration off.
30 love, 2 points from the match.
Run down a few balls if you have to. Move your racket back.
Run down a few balls if you have to. I think probably the most significant thing he said, because it's true, of course. He knows that if he stays in there long enough, the chair is going to make the error and not him. Two points from the match, 30-15, 5-1 Connors, 2 sets to 1.
First serve.
The winner of this match, Connors, almost certainly will play Noah or Wielander. And remember that Noah and Wielander will play tonight, and you can see that match at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. That's midnight on ESPN.
Well, Mecir has definitely decided that for the moment he's going to stay out here. It looks pretty dismal, the prospects for him.
He's 2 breaks a serve behind, of course, at 5 games to 1. So if he broke here, if he wins this point, he'll have to break again. It is not over yet. Mecir breaks back rather surprisingly. 5-2 for Connors in the 4th set and 2 sets to 1.
Vermont is a state of mind and a way of life. Vermont is also world-class tennis with the Volvo International at beautiful Stratton Mountain. The Volvo and Wimbledon are the only tournaments in the world that completely sell out. The players rank it first on their list of favorites. The Volvo is presented by Time Magazine and an impressive list of corporate sponsors. If your company would like to be a part of both the Volvo and Vermont, call 802-362-5542.
How much can you save when you invest at Schwab? Ask a Schwab customer.
Over the past few years, I've saved over $1,500 in commissions at Schwab. That's $1,500 more dollars I've got working for me. If you make your own investment decisions as I do yourself a favor. Pick up the phone and give Schwab a call.
For a free booklet, call 800-554-9000. That's 800-554-9000.
So Mecir has broken Jimmy Connors. Now that's the first time in the fourth set. He's broken him before, of course, but of course from his standpoint, the tough thing, Virginia, is holding on to his serve because he's had so much trouble holding on to serve in the match. In fact, throughout the match.
Well, he was so out of it that, it's worth giving it a shot. The nerves are all gone. There's nothing to be nervous about anymore when you 5-1 down in the fourth set. So he loosened up a little bit. But I can't really see him having enough determination to guts it out for any length of time here. But he does have new tennis balls.
Love 15.
He's going to go for a few shots.
15 all.
The Players' Championship from Ponte Vedra, Florida. Well, what a great event that is. Well, it's going to follow this match immediately, due to start at 4 o'clock. But, well, this match went a little longer than anyone expected. 2 hours and 59 minutes so far. Live, and that's next.